in the spiritual sphere, in terms of understanding from the perspective of non-duality, is a basic property of reality. It's not just two electrons that are communicating with each other. The two electrons are communicating with each other because they are actually in the same space, at the same point. And maybe, who knows, maybe this observation of non-locality is observing something about that, seeing a reflection of that spiritual perception. But what that means? So here, the spiritual person learns something from physical theory. But then here, you can go back again and say, well, in this kind of experience of singularity, is that not only two electrons are in the same, everything in the same place. Non-locality is a property of everything. All points of time and space are connected. They're connected as an identity. That's their deep secret. They appear as many things. They appear as time and space with an expanse of time and huge duration, expanse of space, huge duration of time with all kind of objects. But when we see them through the spiritual eye, the feel of that space, because it is outside of time and space, has no shape, no size. And that's why I think that one thing that neither spirituality nor science understand fully is matter. We don't know what matter is. Physics still trying to find out. There are all kinds of theories now. And there are as many theories, there are psychologists these days. But spiritual people don't know what matter is. From the spiritual dimension, matter appears as awareness, as pure awareness. But the fact is, thought is also awareness. Emotion is also awareness. Many things are awareness. But what makes matter be that kind of the way it is, different from thought and emotion? What gives matter the properties that makes it matter, that differentiates it from feelings and thoughts? See, spiritual people don't know that, don't have an answer. As far as I know, I haven't met or heard anybody who knows the answer to that question. But I think to understand matter, I think we need to understand time and space. In our science, in our physics, we don't totally understand time and space. Newton assumed them as ultimate. God created time and space. Einstein said, no, they're relative and they're connected and all that. But still, we don't really know what time and space is. In experience of non-duality, and especially in the non-local kind of non-duality, time and space appear as manifestation, as creation, as constructs that organize reality. Context within which that unity manifests itself. And I think that can be helpful for scientists to start thinking that way. But also I think might be helpful for science, I don't know, maybe helpful to think of non-locality not an isolated phenomena, but maybe expressing an underlying truth about reality. That might be true about all points of time and space, not just those two electrode that once in a while experiment produces. An important thing for me in my work, in the work we have developed in this teaching, is a process, is a method of inquiry. Inquiry that is scientific in the sense it is verifiable, but the inquiry in the sense of asking questions about reality and being curious about it and trying to find out things about it. And it begins from dual experience because that's what our experience is, usually. And since the dualistic experience is a reflection of non-duality, The inquiry reveals connection between our experiences. Following the connection, we call it understanding and insight. Continuing to follow the connections, understanding our experience, how one thing connects to the other. The understanding becomes more and more illuminated until the illuminating light itself appears to show the spiritual ground. So I'm saying, but it is an inquiry that has its precision, its objectivity, its clarity. But the most important thing about this inquiry is that it is an inquiry not only in a subject matter, but in the inquirer at the same time. It uses the insight from non-duality, says, in inquiry, I'm always not inquiring into what I'm experiencing, but who's experiencing it. I'm not only inquiring into that phenomena, but also into the observer. So that is something our science still not able to do, and I don't really know how it can be done. How you could include the observer with the observed. I mean, quantum theory says, of course, the observer is included and then it has an effect. But how do you include the observer in the experiment? How do you inquire on both at the same time? We know how to do it in the psychological and spiritual way. Physically, I don't know how it can be done, but it seems there might be a way that it might happen by applying the same principle of inquiry. Because the inquiry I use, that's what scientists use. The scientist doesn't inquire into themselves while they're inquiring into their object or experiment. You see? But I imagine a non-dual scientist who is aware of non-duality and is experimenting. I think it would be very interesting. So I'm talking about an interplay between the two fields that can help each other, where the metaphors of one can help the other. At the same time, where there can be a method of research that can undergird both fields, where its principle apply to both fields, both ways of knowing. Where it is really scientific and verifiable, at the same time uses capacities of perception usually science doesn't use.